Hola, ¿cómo estás? Yo estoy muy bien. So, we're starting our week 6, instruction 1, and actually this week we have an assessment coming up at the end of the three sets. So, we're going to take some time this week and practice what we've been doing in weeks 4 and 5 because there was a lot of material that we learned. So, I'm going to kind of walk you through what this first set is going to look like today. It's going to be a little bit different in terms of not learning new material, but spending some time using what it is we've learned so far, okay? So to kind of walk you through the module here, the first part, we're going to start once you get through 6.1. There are some activities here. The first activity is going to take you to a booklet to practice all of our vocabulary because we have an assessment coming up in this week 6. They're next followed by 3 SWICs and a reading. So I'm going to show you those with a pause in between to teach you some material, okay? So 6.1, SWIC 1 is going to review what we did last week with gustar and vocabulary. So once you practice the booklet, you'll be ready for this activity and also be ready to use some of our gustar vocabulary and gustar grammar. That's going to be followed up by a little bit of a writing activity where you're going to look at these pictures and write what you like to eat or drink according to the picture. So, for example, if there was a picture of a taco, I would say, a mí me gusta comer tacos. Or if there was a picture of a drink and it was a Coke, I would say, a mí me gusta beber Coca-Cola. So the first part will have you working through those activities based off the picture. You'll write what it is you like to eat or drink. And then down here, again, this is some more practice with vocabulary and with gustar, like we focused on last week quite a bit. So that's going to give you a chance to use these a little bit more. All right, the next activity is going to take you back and let you review forms of ser. And we're going to take a second and review ser, but it says, Marisa's classmates and teachers come from many different places. Complete the sentences with the correct form of the verb ser and find out where they're from. So a form of ser is missing from all of these sentences, and you're going to go in and write the correct form of ser that's missing. Let's take just a few minutes and review ser. So remember when we learned about this verb earlier back in week 4, in Spanish, as in English, we know that verbs have to be conjugated, and that means that verbs have different endings depending on who's doing the action, the subject pronoun, and when it takes place. All right, so we talked about this during week 4. So here's some examples we looked at back then, like I'm from Fort Wayne, I am is a conjugated verb, I is my subject, that's in the present tense. He is from Fort Wayne. All right, he is the conjugated verb. The subject is he, and again, it's in the present. They are from Fort Wayne. The conjugated verb is they are. The subject is they, and it also is in the present tense. So we looked at those examples, and we said Spanish behaves the same way. So we learned during week 4 to conjugate ser because ser means to be. And we use ser to identify a person, but also to say where he or she is from. And there are other uses we'll see actually in next week when we do week 7. All right, so we learned that ser is what we call an infinitive, and you saw a bunch of infinitives when we learned about gustar because it means to do something. All right, ser just happens to mean to be, and you'll know a lot of other infinitives based off what we learned last week. So we learned during week 4 how to conjugate ser so that we could say things like I am, you are, he is, she is, we are, all of you are, and they are. Okay, so to review that with me, let's go through this kind of quickly since we learned this already, but let's just bring it back. When we conjugate ser, yo soy, tú eres, él or ella es, usted es, nosotros or nosotras somos, vosotros or vosotras sois, ellos son or ellas son, and ustedes son. So we learn those conjugations. And we also know when we translate ser back to English, it means I am for soy. You are for eres. He is or she is for es. And the formal way would be es as well for you are. Somos is we are. Sois, what they would say in Spain for all of you are. Son means they are, and then son also means you are, all of you guys are, like it can be formal or informal in Latin America. So we learned how to practice saying where people are from, like, hola, me llamo Señor Piper, soy de Bluffton. All right, why did I choose soy? Because it was the yo form. Or hola, se llama Santiago, es de Bloomington. All right, he is from Bloomington. Why did I choose es there? Because we're talking about Santiago. So we're saying where he is from. Él es de Santiago, or él es de Bloomington. Hola, se llama Señora Piper, es de Fort Wayne. So why did we choose es? Because we're saying she is from Fort Wayne, and that goes along with ella. So we spent some time during week 4 learning about that, and we're going to bring that back because that's such an important verb for all that we're going to do. So this activity will have you go through and fill in the missing form of ser. You can also go back to week 4 and review some more if you need to look at those things. And then finally, to wrap up this week, we're going to work on reading a little bit. It says, read the passage and respond to the questions. So here's the passage with lots of forms of ser and lots of forms of gustar. And then there is another passage down here to read with lots of questions using ser and forms of gustar. So to get started this week, again, you'll have the booklet to do and then lots of activities to practice all that we've learned, getting ready for the assessment that'll come later in the module. Hasta luego!